Morning, Coach. We'll
Good
get
morning,
started here
guys.
with John and then Kristen.
All right.
Or Kristen, if you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Jim Schwartz kind of echoed what we heard from you the other day, that when it comes down to the struggles this season, they really stemmed from the off season and not having a full off season because of COVID-19. Obviously, that's something every team went through, and every team has had to make their own adjustments when it comes to not having that in-person communication. So I'm curious, as you look back on not having that, what changes do you feel like should have been made earlier? And what is it about your off season that's maybe different from other NFL teams, if that is the case?
Well, I think, look, I know everybody, all 32 teams had the same off-season structure, right? We all had to abide by the same rules and do the same things. And speaking about our guys and our team, we obviously love the off season. That's where we can build. I think every team can say they can build their foundation, of towards the season, and then of course in getting into training camp and we had, I think, so many or a few new faces, going into camp that were starters for us that just didn't have time on task. When you think about say like a Jalen Reagor, for instance, on offense, who didn't have an off season, and really we're throwing him in there and he's trying to learn on the fly, and it makes it a little more difficult, for a guy like that. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses either. We've got 4 wins to our belt, and it's not good enough, and that's the disappointing side of this whole thing. And I look back on it and say, hey, I look at the injuries and go, that's something we've got to talk about, in the off season, right? We got to discuss that and see if I need to change up practice, or if I need to, maybe practice harder, or, be more physical in training camp, whatever it is. Those are all things that we can focus on, beginning next week and in the coming weeks. But, building, I know if you want really good culture, you have to be around the guys. You just have to build it with guys in the building. And now that we're doing everything virtual, it makes it a little bit difficult to really establish that. But again, that's not. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that those are things that are real issues that we had to deal with.
Go ahead, John, and then Zach.
Hey, Doug. You mentioned that culture in building it and being more difficult in this environment. What can you learn about the guys in this type of situation, week 17? You haven't been here since 2016, where it wasn't meaningful for you guys. What can you learn in sort of this short sample size and that type of atmosphere?
Are you talking specifically about the team or individuals?
About the players, about the team, and about how?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, that I have felt this the whole season, that how we handled the testing, number one, how we handled being using the masks and the social distancing and all that, that has been tremendous. My hat goes off to our players for really, we've had just a small a few guys, I mean, I myself included, that contracted the virus and whatnot. But how we handled that, I've been real impressed with our guys that way. And then, speaking on the football side, I just think that, as the injuries began to, pile up each week, that the next man up, this is where my hat goes off to, my assistant coaches for preparing everybody, and not just starters, getting the next man prepared to play, and the resiliency of this football team. There hasn't been, quite honestly, there has not been any quit in this team. You watch them play; they're going to play hard for 4 quarters, and it doesn't matter who's out there. And that, to me, those have been bright spots and things that I've probably been the most proud of with this team, and how they've really stuck together through a lot of adversity.
Zach, and then Paul.
Hey, Doug. Good morning. You mentioned Jalen Reagor in that first answer, and I understand you're putting him in on the fly here, but there are rookie receivers who are having a lot of production this year, and something similar happened last year with JJ. When you look at the investments you've made at that position and why you're not getting that production, is it the evaluation? Is it the development? Is it the scheme? What's the disconnect there at that position?
I mean, listen, you're trying to point the finger in different directions. Obviously that Jalen's a talented guy, and a lot of it will fall on us as coaches, right, to prepare our players and get them ready, and then a lot of it, the other half of it, falls on the player to get himself prepared and how well he comes in and understands and picks up the offense in this case, and then I mean, shoot, what was it, week 2 against the Rams is when he got hurt. And now he misses 6 weeks, and now he's done for 6 weeks, and so that growth process, you're starting to see glimpses of it now towards the end of the season with him that we were hoping for, in weeks 3 and 4 of the regular season, but he had the injury and it set him back, and so yeah, I think you look around the league and you do see some young players who are on some teams with some veteran players. They don't have the amount of injuries that we have, right? They don't have the offensive line injuries that we have, or different things that are going on. Now, I'm not speaking for every team. I don't know that, but all that plays a part into the success that we have individually on the field and collectively as a football team. But I think you look back on it and it falls on us obviously as coaches to prepare, and that falls directly on me. And maybe I've got to install plays better. Maybe we have to scale back a little bit more. Maybe we can't overload a player as we go. But these are things that we were learning on the fly with all of our young players.
Paul and then Tim.
Doug, staying with the wide receiver position as a whole, the last 2 weeks you've actually got very good production from your wide receiver core. 400 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. I realize 81 of those yards came on Deshaun's touchdown, but still that's been better than it's been all season. What's the reason for it?
I think you're seeing the fruits of their labor. I think you're seeing the hard work pay off. I think you're seeing as a coaching staff, is things that I mentioned, when I was talking or answering Zach's question, is just, if we have to scale back as a staff and repeat plays, and I can call a play again in a game, and the opportunities that we're providing in practice for our guys to be successful, and just guys understanding how to play this game and how to play it the right way. And as a staff, as a head coach, I've got to be demanding of my assistants, number one, and then we can be demanding and hold our players accountable. So that's what I mean by it starts with me, and I think that's what you're seeing here with our players. They're just having more time on task, and it's paid off for them.
Tim and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Doug, I'm wondering if you could take us back a little bit to the pre-draft process with Jalen Hurts. Like, when did he first really get on your radar? What kind of interactions did you have with him, and what was it about it that led you to really like him as a quarterback and want him on your team?
Wow, you're taking me back to a long time ago. So obviously, he was one of the top prospects, right, at the position coming out of college, and his story is obviously well documented. Alabama and then of course at Oklahoma, transferring and all of that, and he was again one of the top quarterbacks coming out of the draft or in the draft this past year, and so we do our due diligence like we do every position. We evaluate and we talk to our scouts, we talk to our regional scouts in that area. I talk to coaches. I have my assistant coaches who are evaluating as well. Talk to the player, and he became an intriguing figure for us, and honestly, and guys, you know this, and as long as I'm the head coach here, we're always going to evaluate the quarterback position. That's not one position that is exempt from anything. If we're not looking at that position, I feel like we're not getting better, right? We're not adding depth, and you've seen us here over the course of my 5 years how the backup quarterback has been very, very effective, and that's something that I'm going to continue to do is evaluate the quarterback position. So that's kind of how he became a Philadelphia Eagle, just where we were, and adding that depth and adding competition and adding value to the position.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Les.
Doug, did you, in assessing Jalen Hurts' performance after watching the film, feel that there were too many occasions when he left the pocket early? And, what are some of the ways that he can improve upon that?
I did feel like there were times when he did escape a little bit too fast. And again, young players sometimes do that. And this is where we can coach him up and show him exactly where his eyes need to be, for instance, how he can time the drop up with the route combination or what he's seeing defensively, and then just trust the protection overall, whether it's a pressure look or not. But there have been a few times, the last couple of weeks that he's gotten out of there a little bit too early, and something that he can learn on and build upon, and kind of calm himself in the pocket as he continues to play.
Les, and then Nick.
Morning, Doc. You
Morning.
spoke Monday at the end of your session about wanting to have some say in the way personnel is evaluated in the draft and things like that. I just wanted to clarify, are you talking about more say than you've had up to now? Or what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, no, Les, don't misunderstand what I was saying. Our process here is obviously we lean on the scouting department. We lean on Howie and his department and our scouts in the evaluation process. My staff also evaluates these players as well, and I evaluate the players as well. And all I'm saying is it's a collaborative effort. It's something that we talk and discuss. Listen, by no means do I don't want to cross that line. That's okay. My side's the football side. I want to coach football. That's what I love to do. But at the same time, I want to make sure that my staff is doing the right things. Right, we're evaluating the players that can help us, and so that's all I'm saying there. I don't want to cross that line at all.
Okay, thank you.
We'll wrap it up here with Nick and then Mike.
Hi, Doug. I know you lean a lot on your veteran players for input and things like that. What have your conversations been like with them as far as what they feel is the cause behind a lot of your unforced errors this year, more than usual? Have you gotten anything from them, and can you share any of that with us?
I've talked to a few of them, throughout the course of the year, and really it just comes down to, just attention to detail and focus, and it's something that each player has to understand that when we practice, right, we try to simulate game situations in practice, and obviously you can't simulate the game speed, but we can focus in on doing our job and listening to the snap count, and whether it's a defensive, false start or neutral zone infraction, a false start on offense, those are all things that we have to eliminate. I think we had 5 of those pre-snap penalties even in the game, against Dallas, and these are things that, now obviously this time of year too, there's obviously a new quarterback, and we've talked a little bit about cadence and with Jalen and making sure that he's louder and all those things that he can improve upon. But it just comes down to each player, and this is what I've heard from our team is just, and some of the guys, is just concentration. They just focusing in on doing their job on that particular snap.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Doug, I know we've asked you about your collaboration with Howie during the offseason, but what's that relationship like and your collaboration like during the season when there are so many injuries and there are so many moving parts?
It's still high. We talk every day. obviously this year has been different from the standpoint of, the pandemic has not allowed us to really bring in players like we normally would, after a game. You just can't bring a guy in on a Monday or Tuesday and work him out anymore, like we did, say last year. It takes 5 days of quarantine before you can actually work the guy out. So the process has been a little bit slower this year, and so we've relied more heavily on our practice squad, which is why they've increased the practice squad numbers for us. But our communication is still all about how can we improve the roster and who's going to be up this week and who's going to be allocated, and we still have a great process even during the season.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.